Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we get set for the second playoff race of the first season of the NCAA Pedrigree Xfinity Series. This is race number 12, and this is our first elimination race of the playoffs. I know it's kind of a short playoff season with only 5 races, but we've only got 4 races to whittle the field down from 10 to 7 to our final 4 at Homestead, Miami. Here tonight, we've cut it down from 10 drivers to 7 drivers, preparing for the upcoming second round of the playoffs. And here this evening, at this point in time, all 10 drivers mathematically could be eliminated. Last week, we saw Joshua Ciculli pick up his first win of the season, and he lines up on the pole here for this race as well, trying to go for back-to-back wins. But the most important thing is Ciculli is not a playoff driver, so since a non-playoff driver won last week, nobody is locked in to the next round of the playoffs. Take a look here real quickly at our point standings coming into this one, just how close it is. Trent Dunham, he is currently your points leader. He has a 3-point advantage over Sean Gallighan, 4 points over Kyle Thomas, 5 points over Kyle Langeland. Now, that's close for the overall points lead as far as the playoffs go, but the thing we need to concentrate on coming into tonight's race is 7th in the standings. If you're 7th or higher at the conclusion of tonight's race, you are probably moving on to the playoffs. Second round. Ryan Madden comes into this race in that cut line position. So let's look at the drivers that are ahead of him in the point standings. Points leader, Trent Dunham. He's only 15 points ahead of that cut line. Sean Gallighan's only 12 points ahead of the cut line. Kyle Thomas is only 11 points ahead of that cut line. 10 points ahead of the cut line is K Langeland. J Figadarello, 4 points ahead of that. 3 points ahead is Sky Commons. Madden's in that coveted spot of 7th in the stands, and then the 3 drivers that come into this race currently in elimination spots should they remain there at the conclusion of this race. Ashland Boyd, right now 8th overall in the points, but only 2 points behind 7th in the standings. You've got Anthony McCrury. He's 9th in the point stands, but he is only 7 points behind the cut line, and only 10 points behind the cut line is 10th in the standings, Jonathan Zoerlein. Only 25 points separate 1st through 10th of our playoff drivers, and you can make up as many as 47 points in a single race. So there is no doubt about it, nobody is safe here tonight from possibly not advancing into the next round of the playoffs. And we're here at Chicagoland. People may not remember this, but back in Season 1 of the Duracell Cup Series, Chicagoland was the opening race of the playoffs, and it was a wreckfest. It did not come back here on the schedule for Duracell Cup Series in Season 2, being replaced by Coca-Cola Super Speedway. However, because it's not being used in the Duracell Cup Series schedule, it was put here in the Pedrigree Xfinity Series schedule, and it's going to play huge dividends into who's moving on to the next round of battle for the championship and who's going to get eliminated very early on. Now let's focus on the race as Joshua Ciculli, as we said, starts on the pole position, dominated the race last week at Chatham. I believe he led every single lap, went en route to his first win of the season. He's starting alongside of his teammate, the RCR teammate number 33 of Andrew Miller. Miller is still looking for his first win of the season. He's 30th in the point standings, only one top 5 so far this season. Then you got teammates lined up in row 2 out of Joe Gibbs Racing, who had all 3 of their drivers finish in the top 15 last week. Nicholas Romero had a top 5 run. He's going to roll off from 3rd, and Emmanuel Hartnett, I think, finished 12th last week at Chatham. He's going to roll off from 4th. Both of those drivers are looking for their first wins of the season as well. A former winner in Corey Williams lines up completing your top 5. He won at Charlotte earlier on this season, so he's trying to finish out the year trying to be a multi-time winner like Kyle Thomas. Highest starting playoff contender. Actually, you got 3 of them lined up in 6th, 7th, and 8th. If I could get my numbers straight, that'd be great. Sean Gallighan's going to roll off from 6th. J Figadarello from 7th, and Sky Commons from 8th. Right now, all 3 of them come into this race inside the top 7 in points. Only time will tell if they will be in the top 7 in points when we finish out today's event. Let's go down trackside, get those most famous words in motorsports here in the Windy City at Chicagoland Speedway.
Drivers, start your engines!
So like we stated last week, 10 drivers battling for playoff positions to move on to the next round, but there's another 30 drivers that could care less. They're out there just trying to go to victory lane. And I'm hoping that maybe with GNS physics that we have here in the Xfinity Series, that we may end up seeing a much cleaner race than we saw back in Season 1 of the Duracell Cup Series, which we were running CTS physics at that moment in time. We're also not running the 2019 rules package, so that might have had something to do with it as well. But regardless of that fact, hopefully we're in for a cleaner race here today, or here tonight, I should say. And if we end up having a cleaner race, 54 laps of racing here this evening, so we may end up seeing this race come down to fuel strategy if we are able to avoid the caution flags. Well, Ciculli went coast to coast last week for his victory at Chatham. Chicagoland's a speedway. It's not a road course, so I think it'll be much more of a difficult task for him to try doing that here tonight. But we'll see, as it'll be RCR in row 1, Joe Gibbs Racing in row 2, and then you've got a couple of single-car race teams with Chevy Camaros and Corey Williams and Sean Galligan in row 3. Who's going to be left to move on in the round of 7 next week? Green flags in the air. Let's roll at Chicagoland. We will, during the course of the night, keep tabs on all 10 of our playoff contenders, especially the 3 that came into this race behind the cut line: Ashland Boyd, Anthony McCrury, and Jonathan Zoerlein. Ciculli to the point. Andrew Miller looked like he wanted to ride in line in second place behind his teammate, but Nicholas Romero has other plans. He's going to go for second, as Sean Galligan kicked up to the outside line 3 wide. He's going to lose some spots, and now J Figadarello going to get moved up the track there as well. Sky Commons up the middle, trying to be the highest ranked playoff driver. Trouble! Jimmy Dawson around. He almost saved it. And he does save it now, but somebody else is spinning. That's Sky Commons around in front of the field. He saves it as well. Now Skylar Perry is spinning further back after contact from R Xavier. Caution's going to wave. Trent Dunham, the points leader of the playoff standings, was involved as well. Caution is out for the first time here tonight. But man, there were a number of tremendous saves right there. Jimmy Dawson was able to get the car straight and kept going. Sky Commons spun but kept it going. Skylar Perry spun but kept it going. That was crazy. And that was up inside the top 10 as well. And I believe playoff contender J Figadarello was in the middle of that. I think he might have gotten a little bit of damage after contact between himself. I think it was Jimmy Dawson, and I can't right off the top of my head remember who the other car was. It might have been Jacob Thibodeaux, and Figadarello's coming to pit lane. Now, this might not necessarily be a terrible thing for J Figadarello. He's obviously going to lose out on some track position, but if they can get that car repaired, keep him up to speed, he's going to have a little bit more fuel in the tank than everybody else. And there you see Trent Dunham further back there, coming in behind Skylar Perry. That's 2 playoff contenders coming down pit road. We just got to make sure that they're going to be able to continue on. I didn't see extensive contact for anybody there, as they will service the Flex Seal number 01 of Trent Dunham as well. So it looks like both of the playoff contenders that got involved in this will continue on. They're working on Skylar Perry. They're working on Anthony Lopez. Jimmy Dawson leaving pit road here along with J Figadarello. I think everybody's still going to be able to continue. We had a number of different incidents take place. We had the initial wreck, and I think everything else was checkups and follow-up wrecks because of that incident out of turn 2 onto the back straightaway. But everybody, for the most part, I think did a pretty good job of not making that worse than it was. Let's go back and take a look at a replay as Joshua Ciculli leads us under our first caution of the evening here at Chicagoland. Honestly, this didn't look so bad coming off of turn 2. I was actually quite surprised they wrecked. It looked like they were going to give each other room. That's Jimmy Dawson on the bottom, Sky Commons in the middle, J Figadarello up top side. And, oh, there you can see right there. It looks like Commons may have cut down a little bit coming off the corner. Jimmy Dawson got tight and came up. So, yeah, the 2 of them did make some contact there. Figadarello up and into the wall. And there you see the contact right there. Sky Commons into Jimmy Dawson. That's right's the 14. But then Sky Commons comes down across the nose of James McCloud. McCloud has nowhere to go. Spins the 9 car around. Tremendous job by Ashland Boyd to get that car woed up. Almost got run over by K Shearer. And then further back, you've got Skylar Perry. He came up into R Xavier, and Xavier spins him around. So the 28 and the 24 both getting some damage. Whoa, close call there for playoff contender Anthony McCrury as he followed in the tire tracks of N Stapleton getting through the wreck. And let's see what happened to Trent, because his incident was further back here. Oh, there was another incident off of turn 2. Trent was on the outside of, I believe it's going to be Anthony Lopez that gets him in the left rear quarter panel right there. Contact between the 99 and the 7 of David Garcia sends them up into Trent. Trent spins around, tries to right it, tries to keep it going, goes up and gets the wall again, then back down into the 99 of Anthony Lopez, spins around right in front of D Poteet, and I don't think Poteet hits him, but maybe he does. Oh yeah, he gets a little bit of contact there with the right front into Trent's left front. And then N Stapleton, a little bit of contact there. Anthony McCrury going to squeak through that one as well. So 2 for 2 in near misses as he barely avoids Trent Dunham and barely avoided Skylar Perry later on. I think really the damage that was sustained by both J Figadarello and Trent Dunham for the most part was on the side. Trent, some left side damage there and right side damage after he went back up into the outside wall, and then J Figadarello getting squeezed up into the outside wall, being on the outside of 3 wide as well. So I thought they would probably be able to hold 3 wide here at this track, but apparently that's not the case. So I guess if they start getting 3 wide, especially coming off turn 2, we should start to get a little bit worried. But that's what brings out the caution. Looks like the 2 playoff contenders that were involved will continue. We'll keep tabs on them during the course of the remainder of this race to see if they're up to speed. For now, let's go back for the restart. All 40 cars that took the green flag to start this race will be taking the green flag to restart this race on lap 7 of 54, and all of them are on the lead lap. Joshua Ciculli restarts the leader. Andrew Miller will be second. Then you've got Nicholas Romero in third. Corey Williams runs fourth. Emmanuel Hartnett fifth. Jacob Thibodeaux will restart in sixth with Patrick Zych in seventh. Highest running playoff contender right now would be S Gallighan. He's in the 8th position, followed by J McCloud and N Ormond. Let's see where the rest of our playoff contenders will be restarting this race. Got to go quite a ways down before you find the next one. That's Sky Commons. He'll be restarting back in 19th place. Ashland Boyd in 21st. 23rd for Ryan Madden. Jonathan Zoerlein in 26th. Kyle Langeland's going to be restarting in 28th. Kyle Thomas in 30th. And then Anthony McCrury 34th. And the 2 drivers that got involved in the wrecks there, J Figadarello will restart 37th. Trent Dunham in 39th. Green flag set to come back out here. Andrew Miller was ready for it. Tries to jump out to the outside of his teammate Joshua Ciculli, and now we left the door open down low, and Nicholas Romero is going to try and take second place away from him, and I think he's going to get a good run out of turn 2. Andrew Miller probably wishes he could have redone that restart. It's going to cost him. He's going to lose second, maybe even third here to Corey Williams, and if they continue to line up in the inside line, he could drop back even further. They're going to be 3 wide here coming off turn 4. Hartnett, Miller, Patrick Zych on the bottom. Now they settle it back out to double wide as Miller's able to slot in front of the Juniper Toyota Camry. Battle is on for second. Corey Williams to the inside. Look at the run Nicholas Romero got around the outside line in 1 and 2. He keeps second place. Corey Williams lost a lot of momentum on the bottom, and now he's got Andrew Miller challenging him on the top side for third place. There's S Gallighan, right now the highest running of the playoff contenders. Last time by, crossed the line in the 9th position. Came into this race second in the playoff standings. 12 points ahead of the cut line. Right now looking like he's in very good shape because there's really no other playoff contenders anywhere around him. And we had smoke over in turn 3, but we're still under green. So something happened, but it didn't bring out a caution. Not sure who it involved, though, because you got some of these guys back here that are kind of off the pace. J Figadarello's back here. Anthony McCrury's back here in the 12 car. And Trent Dunham, I didn't think he got that much damage, but he is off the pace in the 40th position. He came into this one P1 in the playoff standings, but this could certainly knock him at the last minute out of the top 7. Pretty certain that those tire marks I saw over there in turn 3 were fresh. Just don't know who they involved. So it looks like everybody is still running. There's Kyle Thomas. He right now is the third furthest back of the playoff contenders, the only two-time winner this season. He was third in the point standings coming into this one. And look at all these playoff contenders back here. There's the 00 of Jonathan Zoerlein. There's the 25 of Kyle Langeland, the 9 of Sky Commons, the 11 of Ryan Madden, the 6 of Ashlyn Boyd. They're all back here outside the top 20. Still, the only playoff contender that's up here having a decent outing, at least right now, is the 39 of Sean Gallighan, who's up inside of the top 10. Battle for third. Andrew Miller to the inside of Corey Williams. I think I just saw the caution lights come on. They did. Yellow flag out for the second time here this evening, as Joshua Ciculli will lead us yet again under a couple laps of pacing. Now this could be interesting with this yellow flag coming out, though. None of the leaders hit pit road under the first caution. We're now 13 laps in. Would these drivers be able to make it on fuel if they pitted now, or can they still not make it? Will they stay out, keep their track position, and maybe have to pit under green? Looks like we had a pretty big incident right there. Someone spun on the back straightaway. It looks like they slid back up the track in turn 3. And it's involving another playoff contender. He was involved in the first wreck, and he's involved in the second wreck. J Figadarello in the 2. His teammate Matthew Logan involved. There was somebody else that just came onto pit lane and already has called it an evening, as J Shelly in the 16 also with some damage on his Lilly Diabetes Ford Mustang. And some drivers came to pit road. Sky Commons is in, and I believe it's one of the cars out of JD Motorsports. I think that could be the 01 of Trent Dunham again. Yes, it is. Trent probably getting some fresh tires on that race car. I mean, the good news for him right now is JD Figadarello getting involved in a wreck, so that's one driver he could maybe finish ahead of, as his car is obviously off the pace. He just needs more playoff contenders to have some issues. And the leaders did not come to pit road, so that says to me they are going to have to pit probably under green flag conditions, or at least later on in this race, in order to make it the rest of the way on one stop. Let's go back and see what happened. First, let's check over in turn 3, see what happened that didn't bring out the yellow, and then we'll take a look and see what did bring out the yellow with another incident, looks like, on the backstretch, probably out of turn 2. Well, I was certain that I saw smoke there in turn 3, but maybe it was just the way the lights were hitting the track or something. I thought I saw skid marks too, but we're looking at what actually brought the caution flag out, because I could not find what I thought happened over in turn 3 under green flag conditions, and it looks like the contact's going to happen between Sky Commons and James Shelly. Nowhere for the 21 of Matthew Logan to go. This is right in front of Phil Parker in the 22, who splits the middle and is able to avoid. And then remember, there was a second group further back there, and I think that's how we're going to see the 2 car of J Figadarello get involved. And here they are back here, Jimmy Dawson, Anthony Lopez. There's Figadarello in the 2 car. And who is he going to hit? My assumption might be his teammate Matthew Logan in the 21. There's Shelly. And right in the middle of the track, nowhere for J Figadarello to go. R Xavier in the 24 also flies in and clobbers that Smoky Mountain Chevrolet Camaro. Skylar Perry's going to get through. Anthony McCrury, he's going to get through as well. But that is maybe the playoff hopes up in smoke for J Figadarello. That was a hard hit with the front end of the race car. I think that car might be out of the race. Only thing he can hope for right now is that drivers that were behind him in points, like Commons, Madden, Boyd, McCrury, and Zoerlein, that they all finish way down there in the finishing results or DNF themselves. Otherwise, I think J Figadarello, who had that miraculous 2 weeks, the win at Bristol, the top 5 at Thornton to get into the top 20 in points and get a last-minute playoff spot, that storybook, or that fairy tale story could very well be coming to a very quick end. 3 drivers are out of the race after what we saw happen over in turn 3. Those cars out of the race include R Xavier, J Figadarello, and Matthew Logan. Figadarello came into this one only 4 points ahead of 7th in the standings cut line. And right now, he would lose spots to Sky Commons, I think. He would lose a spot to Ryan Madden. And he would lose a spot to Jonathan Zoerlein. That would knock him currently down to the 8th position, which is an elimination spot. So he needs some help here. It's still early on at Chicagoland. These drivers are not out of the woods yet, and we could still see more playoff contenders have some issues here this evening. Sky Commons was actually on pit road repairing more damage on his Liberty University Chevrolet. As Ciculli will restart over Nicholas Romero, Corey Williams will be third, Andrew Miller fourth, Patrick Zych in fifth, and the rest of your top 10 are going to be Emmanuel Hartnett, Jacob Thibodeaux, Nathan Ormond, Sean Gallighan, and James McCloud. Gallighan still the only playoff contender up inside of the top 10 as the green flag is back in the air on lap 17. Nicholas Romero wasting little time. He wants the race lead. Joe Gibbs Racing so far this season does not have a victory. The closest they got was S Ozkan, who finished runner-up back at ISM, and then I believe he also finished runner-up last week at Chatham to Joshua Ciculli, if memory serves me correctly. Still side by side as Ciculli got Romero at the line via the top side. Let's see if that inside line can get a run through 1 and 2. Again, the outside line strong as Ciculli will go to the lead. Corey Williams trying to follow in his tire tracks to second. That outside line, especially through 1 and 2, gets the better run, and you can see through 3 and 4 it also gets a good run as Corey Williams will move around that Hisense Toyota Camry into second place. Now he looks to the inside of Ciculli. Drop back again, finds Sean Gallighan. There he is, still in 9th place. Has he got anybody up here for company with a yellow spoiler? Answer to that is no, he does not. The highest running playoff contender behind him is Ashland Boyd in the 20th position. The good news for Boyd is, though, he is the second highest running playoff driver. He came into this one in an elimination spot, 8th in the standings. Our Road America winner right now would be in the top 7 with where he's currently running, even though it may not be up inside the top 15. There's K Langeland, our Thornton winner. He's in 22nd. Ryan Madden, Jonathan Zoerlein back here together. They're battling for the 23rd position. And Kyle Thomas just at the very tail end of this group. You see him right there, that 0 car on the inside line. Right now, things are not looking good for one driver in particular, and it's that driver right there, Anthony McCrury. Apparently, he got some damage somewhere, or something is desperately wrong with his Penske Racing Mustang, because he is 37th. Just got passed for 36th by Sky Commons, and he came into this race in an elimination spot, 9th in the standings. So right now, it is looking very well like our winner from Rio, or Emerson Fittipaldi Speedway, whichever you want to call it, is not going to be moving on. Trent Dunham right now in 36th. He just got passed by Sky Commons. Still needs some help. J Figadarello out of the race is certainly helping his cause, but he needs more playoff contenders to have some issues here with where he's running. And there is Sky Commons in 35th. Commons came into this one just 3 points ahead of the cut line. Where Ashland Boyd is running, I think Boyd would knock out Sky Commons, and that again could be some help for Trent Dunham to move on to the next round. Andrew Miller trapped on the inside line, which is normally not something we say, but that outside line has been so good off the exit of the corner that Andrew Miller trying to hang tough for third place rather with Nicholas Romero. Emmanuel Hartnett in the 18 back there. Patrick Zych, Nathan Ormond, all waiting to see which lines open up. Sean Gallighan, I think, just fell outside of the top 10 as Charles Jackson has moved up into the 9th position. So the 44 of Jackson, who had a strong car last week as well at Chatham, where he finished that race out. Well, I thought he had a strong car. Where am I thinking of then? Am I thinking of Thornton? I might be thinking of Thornton. Yeah, Jackson finished 31st last week. Where am I thinking of? No, it wasn't Thornton either. I don't know where I'm thinking of. For some reason, I thought he ran well at a race a couple of weeks ago, but guess not. So, getting back into form, I guess, is Charles Jackson after 2 bad performances at Thornton and Chatham. Probably glad to be back here at the Speedways. He runs in 8th place. A driver who did have a good run last week, and this I do know for certain, is James McCloud. He finished 7th last week at the road course. and continuing a streak of good runs here. McCloud coming into this one 26th in the point standings, and we should point out we've had 3 cautions here this evening, and the leaders have not hit pit road under any of them. And so we are probably going to see green flag pit stops at some point in time, maybe near the closing stages of this race, if we manage to continue to run this race under green flag conditions. I noticed Corey Williams there through 1 and 2, run about a half groove higher, trying to see if there's any speed to be found. We should also mention as well that these drivers, if we go into a long green flag run, they could start catching up to those drivers at the tail end of the field that are somewhat off the pace. Ciculli hits the line now. Anthony McCrury, last car on the lead lap, just about half a racetrack ahead. He was in the middle of the back straightaway when Ciculli was at the start-finish line. Let's drop back as see if Sean Gallighan, right now 11th place, let's see if any of our playoff contenders have been able to make up any kind of ground. Well, Ashland Boyd's now up to 18th, so he's gained a couple of spots since we last checked in. And a car on pit road, that's the 88 of Eli Bright. So is this the start of green flag pit stops? Perhaps it is. Eli Bright was up inside of the top 20, around the 17th position, coming to pit road to get fresh tires, and the tire wear has definitely kicked in. Fastest lap by the leader, Ciculli, was a 24.7, and now he's running 28.1s, so that is a 0.7 of a second difference. More drivers on pit road. Charles Jackson's in, Jacob Thibodeaux, James McCloud, David Garcia. You see there, Skylar Perry. Oh, trouble there for David Garcia as he just ran into James Shelly. I don't know what that was about. They can't possibly have the same pit stall, I don't think. Anthony McCrury, I think, is on pit road in the 12 car as well. Also, Anthony Lopez. What the heck's going on there between the 16 and the 7? They cannot have the same pit stall. That's just not a thing that happens at Chicagoland. It's Patrick Zych is on pit road. Zach Winkle. Kyle Keith. Seeing if any of our playoff contenders are on. Yep, Ashland Boyd, Kyle Langeland, they're both in. Kyle Thomas is in. Ryan Madden. So some of our playoff contenders have hit pit road. Ciculli continues to stay out. We're waiting on him to hit pit road, and he tries to! Skylar Perry was to his inside. That was close. Ciculli is in, along with Nicholas Romero. Hartnett, Ormond, they're on pit road as well. Sean Gallighan and Jonathan Zoerlein. A couple of playoff contenders on pit road this time. Turns the race lead over to, I believe, Corey Williams. So Corey Williams will get a bonus point for a lap led. We'll see if he hits pit road this time. Andrew Miller also stayed out, and I believe those are the last of the cars up to speed that still need to pit. Driver that this could actually benefit as far as getting a bonus point for a lap led might be the 9 of Sky Commons. There he is. He's got a couple laps better on fuel than everybody else because he was on pit road under the last yellow flag, so I think he'll stay out a couple laps more, and I believe he will inherit the race lead. I think Trent Dunham might also stay out a little bit longer than everybody else. So we'll be waiting on the 9 and the 01 to hit pit road. And those will be the last 2 cars to cycle around this green flag pit stop. These drivers all came to pit road with about 25 laps remaining, 29 laps in, so they should be good to go the rest of the way on fuel. See Joshua Ciculli right here. He's actually going to try and get his lap back from Sky Commons. He's currently a lap down. And you can see the difference between old tires and fresh tires. Look how quickly Eli Bright and Patrick Zych reeled him in. As a matter of fact, Eli Bright may have just moved up to second place because of that early pit stop he made. Looks like Patrick Zych may move up into third with Charles Jackson in fourth. So that strategy call of bringing the 88 to pit road as soon as they did, that I think is going to really benefit him. Right here, you're looking at a potential battle for the race lead when Sky Commons eventually makes the decision to hit pit road. Same for Trent Dunham. Junior Motorsports, so far this season, they've got a goose egg in the win column. 5 entries each and every week, but none of them have been to victory lane. Commons, Ormond, David Garcia, Eli Bright, and Kyle Keith And right there, you saw the 88 clear the 62. Right there, he just basically took the race lead away. Trent Dunham's going to get himself an extra bonus point. He just led a lap. As Sky Commons hit pit road in the 9 car. Now we're waiting for Trent to make his pit stop. Jonathan Zoerlein getting around him. That's going to put Zoerlein back in the lead lap. Kyle Langeland doing the same. Trent cannot make it the rest of the way. He's going to have to pit. But at least he's got that bonus point. That's going to help him. Talked about him needing some help of some drivers struggling. Someone's out of fuel on the apron. That's the 7 of David Garcia, and that's probably because he couldn't get into his pit stall after contact with J Shelly. Now, if that car stops on the back straightaway, that could bring out a yellow. That's going to slow up Sky Commons. Commons can't get by him. Is that going to throw a caution because he was off the pace? Yes, it is. Yellow flag is going to wave, and that's going to put Sky Commons a lap down now because of that. His teammate screwed him. Eli Bright's going to come around. Wait a minute, hold on. I think Trent's still the leader. Yeah, Trent is still the leader. And he's going to have some drivers trapped a lap down because of this, too. Whoa. What a timely caution for Trent. This could keep Trent up in the top 15. He's going to be able to pit under caution. I think he's going to cycle around to somewhere around the 14th, 15th position because of this, staying on the lead lap. He's going to turn the race lead over to the 88 of Eli Bright for this restart. But all these drivers ahead of him are on the tail end of the lead lap, and that's where they're going to be restarting, is ahead of the leader Eli Bright because of the timing of that yellow. So what a strategy call for Trent Dunham and that team. They'll be restarting somewhere around the 14th, 15th position on the lead lap because of this. And that may just have kept their playoff hopes alive. Well, we'll go back and take a look at what happened between David Garcia and J Shelly on pit road that led to David Garcia being out of fuel. He then came to a stop. Sky Commons came to a stop. That caused the caution flag to wave. Very strange yellow flag here at Chicagoland, and it'll set us up with a restart of less than 20 to go. Well, this is what happened during the green flag pit stops. And here's what I don't understand. Now, I can remember back at Dragonette where we've had a glitch with 2 pit stalls, one in the other. There's nothing like that here. You'll watch and you'll clearly see that David Garcia tries to pull into James Shelly's pit stall when James Shelly is there. Watch the right side of your screen. I believe Shelly is going to be right there. There he is in the 16, making a pit stop. You can clearly see that's the 16's War Wagon. And David Garcia, it wasn't even that he was trying to get into his own pit stall, because you've got Eli Bright's pit stall behind them. You've got Jimmy Dawson's pit stall ahead of him. I don't know what David Garcia was doing. And because of that, he didn't get any service. They were not able to get the car full of fuel. Weren't even able to fuel the car, period. And so he runs out of fuel coming off pit road on the back straightaway, and we'll show you now what brings out the caution flag and why NSRA officials had no choice but to throw the yellow. I want to show this here. This is a couple laps later. Here is the 7 coming back down pit road, and again, he tries to pit right there, in between the 16 and the 14. Now, here's what makes this so ludicrous. I looked when he came off pit road on that last replay to see if indeed maybe there was no 7-car pit stall. That's not the case. We're going to fast forward a little here. Watch this. I believe it's right here. Yeah, right there. Right there. He's in front of his pit stall. Right there. That is the 7-car's pit stall. So it is there in plain sight, and he just flat out misses it. I don't understand this. Makes no sense to me, but because he did not pull into his pit stall, they couldn't service him, so he's going to come off of pit lane here. We'll go to the TV1 camera, and you can see right here, the car's losing speed. He is not up to speed. That car is out of fuel. I mean, this is so bizarre. That car's out of fuel. Now, Sky Commons was on pit road just moments ago. He's going to come off pit lane, and he can only merge out of turn 2. He's got his teammate in the 7 in front of him. And as David Garcia comes off the back straightaway here, you'll see in just a moment the 9 of Sky Commons. There he is. Where is he going to go? He's right up behind the 7. I don't know if he even knows he's out of fuel. And right here is when they have to throw the caution. Right there, because the 9 almost comes to a stop, the 7 almost comes to a stop, and you've got oncoming traffic coming through out of turn 2 that aren't going to know what's going on. So they had to throw the yellow because the 7 was back up on the racing surface, up above that white line, as was the 9 of Sky Commons, and both those cars were nearly at a dead stop. And what really hurt Sky Commons was, if that caution had come out, he could have very well stayed back on the lead lap, but he's going to be trapped a lap down because he was so slow, not running over his teammate David Garcia. So this is going to set us up for a very interesting restart. We're going to have to figure out where all of our playoff contenders are going to be restarting, because it's going to be a mess when we go back green. Well, we haven't gotten the 1 to green signal yet, but we're going to take the opportunity here under pacing to try and sort everything out. So you're looking at your current race leader, Eli Bright. We saw that battle between himself and Joshua Ciculli, which at the time was for 3rd place, but because Sky Commons and Trent Dunham both hit pit road, it eventually turned out to be a race for the lead. Ciculli's going to line up in 2nd, Patrick Zych in 3rd, 4th is going to be Charles Jackson, 5th is now Kyle Keith, 6th is Jacob Thibodeaux. 7th place is all the way back here. That's where you find James McCloud. You've got a couple of lap machines between him and Thibodeaux with Commons and Nicholas Romero. And then you got 8th place is Diego Yepes, as they've got the lap car of Emmanuel Hartnett between them. Then you got 9th place K Shearer, and 10th place is going to be all the way back here, and that's Anthony Lopez. 11th place is Skylar Perry. 12th, I believe, is Jimmy Dawson, and right now the last car on the lead lap, well, technically, would be Trent Dunham. All these drivers here are on the tail end of the lead lap as well, I think, or are they 1 lap down? No, they're all 1 lap down. There's only 13 cars on the lead lap right now. All these drivers were 2 laps down, apparently. They got 1 of those laps back when they were able to pass Trent Dunham when Trent came to pit road. So, as you can see here, we got drivers trapped 1 lap down. We got 1 driver trapped 2 laps down. That's Ashlyn Boyd. That could be Ashlyn Boyd's playoff hopes done with. So right now, the only playoff contenders that are currently on your lead lap, I believe, is just one of them, and that's Trent Dunham. He's 13th, the points leader of the playoff standings coming into this one. It's right now the only car on the lead lap. Sky Commons is 14th. Sean Galligan's trapped a lap down now in 19th. Jonathan Zoerlein's in 21st. Kyle Langeland in 22nd. Kyle Thomas is 27th. Ryan Madden is 30th. And now you've got these drivers that are all going to be lined up on the inside line a lap down. Eli Bright's going to come around the outside for the restart. And you got Ashlyn Boyd 2 laps down in 36th position. This is bizarre. The timing of that yellow and everything that took place is very, very weird. I don't even know if the 7 of David Garcia is back on track or not. I don't even see him. I think he's out of the race. Yep, he is. He'll finish 37th here today. Probably that car was out of fuel. So here we go. We've got 13 cars up on the outside line that are on the lead lap. Everybody else is a lap down on the bottom of the racetrack. This is weird. If we get another caution and some of these guys that are on the bottom can get around, I think... No, actually, I think the only drivers right now that could get their lap back the hard way are from 14th down to 24th. I think these drivers up here, like Dearborn and Poteet, when they cross the line here, they're going to be 2 laps down to the leader. We'll see in just a moment as the green flag is back out in the air on lap 42. 13 laps to go. Yeah, 98.070. They're all 2 laps down now. So all those drivers that are 1 lap down have a shot of maybe getting their lap back, but these guys right here, like Dearborn and Poteet, they're still -1, even though they're ahead of the race leader, Eli Bright. Let's drop back to the 88, see if there's going to be any challenge for the race lead, as these guys are stuck on the top side with all the lap traffic on the bottom. Bright's going to be able to get down to the inside line. Ciculli trying to do the same. Will his teammate Chase Marks let him in? Looks like Ciculli's going to get clear of lap traffic. They're 3 wide further back. There's going to be another wreck. There's going to be another caution here the way these guys are racing. And there it is. Yellow flag is out. Eli Bright dives down to the bottom. He'll block Patrick Zych, who's making a battle for second with Joshua Ciculli. So Dearborn, Poteet, and Thomas will get one of their laps back, but they're still -1. Everybody else is going to be trapped either 1 lap down or 2 laps down. There's the smoke on the back straightaway. I saw them 3 wide several areas, and I thought there's no way they're going to make it off turn 2 without somebody wrecking. And who was involved? Nathan Ormond in the 1 was one of the drivers involved. Looks like Nicholas Romero was collected up as he is moonwalk glitching through the infield to his pit stall. Romero had a strong car early on in this race, was up as high as second. Emmanuel Hartnett appears to have gotten involved in this one. Same for the 5 of Kyle Keith, and Trent Dunham involved in this one. What was looking like a bad situation turned good, all of a sudden goes from a good situation turned bad. He's got more front end damage, but they're going to try and repair it and keep him on the lead lap. Right now, he could finish no worse than the 13th position, so why not? They'll take the hood off that car. He may be eons off the pace, but as long as he's on the lead lap, he could finish 13th. Kyle Keith, same for him. He's also on the lead lap, so they'll get him back out there. What's going to be interesting about this restart is we'll be restarting with less than 10 to go, so it will be a single file restart. So the top 3 are all together, but then you got 2 lap machines between 3rd place Patrick Zych and 4th place Charles Jackson. So it's going to be a very staggered looking restart with the lap cars inverted and sprinkled in with the lead lap cars. Let's go back, see what happened to bring out this, I believe it's our 5th caution of the evening here at Chicagoland. Pretty close to the front this was. It's Kyle Keith on the top side and contact between Emmanuel Hartnett and Sky Commons. But Commons seems to have been involved in everything here tonight. Diego Yepes is going to get a piece there in the 90. That's another car that's on the lead lap. He and Emmanuel Hartnett are going to spin around. And right there's where Nicholas Romero gets a piece. K Shearer runs into him. Nathan Stapleton might have gotten involved there. There's Sean Gallighan trying to squeak his way through. Ashland Boyd, Kyle Langeland, Anthony McCrury all trying to do the same. There's where Nathan Ormond got his damage as he got into Emmanuel Hartnett. And then I think he might actually run into Nicholas Romero left side of your screen. Yes, he does. So that's where Romero got his extensive damage. There's Trent getting involved, and then he's going to get into the back of Nathan Ormond there. So that's where he got his damage from. S Ozkan in the 19 also got a piece of that. So all 3 of the Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota Camrys were involved in this one. And that is what brought out the caution. Track kind of gets blockaded up. Nowhere for anyone to go. Everyone tries to get on the brakes, but when they see a hole open, it closes up. And that brings out the yellow flag here yet again. You see Jonathan Zoerlein trying to keep his playoff hopes alive. Came into this one 10th of the 10 playoff drivers. He's 23rd, but he might pick up some spots here because of this. Let's go back for the restart. Set it all up as we'll have less than 10 to go. So the good news for the 3 race leaders anyway is they will have clean racetrack ahead of them. They will not be lined up behind drivers that are either on the tail end lead lap or ahead of them but behind the pace car. So Bright, Ciculli, and Zych, they may be the ones to settle this thing out if we don't see yet another yellow flag. Charles Jackson lines up in 4th. There he is. 5th place right now is going to be Jacob Thibodeaux. He's all the way back there in the 52. Right behind him, James McCloud in 6th. K Shearer right there in 7th. 8th place right now is Anthony Lopez. Then you got Jimmy Dawson all the way back here. Where is he? I think I missed him. Oh, there he is. He's in 9th. 10th place right now, Diego Yepes, who got a little piece of that incident we saw. 11th place currently is where you'd find Skylar Perry. 12th is going to be Trent Dunham, and 13th is Kyle Keith. They're the last cars on the lead lap. After that incident, we do have 2 more drivers out of the race, Nicholas Romero and Nathan Ormond. So 34 cars are still running, but only 13 of them on the lead lap. As things stand right now, Ashland Boyd, I believe, would be out of the playoffs. Anthony McCrury would be out of the playoffs. They are 32nd and 33rd and came in elimination spots. And I'd be worried about Jonathan Zoerlein. He's 21st, although he's ahead of drivers like Ryan Madden and Kyle Thomas. So we'll see how it all shakes out. As we got the restart with 8 laps to go, I believe it was. Nope, sorry, 7 laps to go. Here's a battle for the lead. Patrick Zych to the inside. Is the caution flag out, or did I just seeing things? Caution is out. We're racing back to the stripe. We might get one more attempt at a restart. Who's going to lead us to the caution? Patrick Zych by a splitter got it, with help from J Ciculli. That was close. Imagine if that had been the finish, but I think we will get back green at least one more time. Maybe a green-white checkered, maybe a one-lap shootout. So this isn't over yet. And this caution could have involved other playoff contenders. Let's see who it was. Oh, there's a lot of cars on pit road now. Emmanuel Hartnett, Joshua Dearborn, Dylan Poteet, Trent Dunham again. Kyle Keith, Kyle Thomas, another playoff driver. Sky Commons in the 9. Looks like he is, 6 for 6 in getting involved in wrecks here tonight? And I think Diego Yepes may have gotten a piece of this one. Jimmy Dawson's coming to pit road in the 14. He's a driver on the lead lap, and he may have been involved in this as well. No telling where this would have started. Could have been anywhere in the field the way they've been racing on these last couple of restarts. Patrick Zych, though, was able to edge out Eli Bright at the line. He'll be the leader when we go back green for what could be as little as a one-lap shootout. Let's go back and see what happened. Surprisingly, this one was back towards the rear of the field. And they were 3 wide coming off the corner. Jonathan Zoerlein up into Diego Yepes, hooks the 9 of Sky Commons, who then hooks the 18 of Emmanuel Hartnett. Commons down into J Shelly, and the track's just going to get blocked up again with a number of drivers further back. See who takes the first shot here. There it is, Joshua Dearborn. Dylan Poteet nowhere to go as the 18 swung right in front of him, and Kyle Thomas flips the 18 of Emmanuel Hartnett upside down going into turn 3. I don't know if that's going to take Thomas out of the playoffs or not. There's Kyle Keith nowhere to go, and then JD Motorsports clobbering each other as Trent Dunham nowhere to go into the Flex Seal 0, courtesy of the Flex Seal 01. Kyle Keith clobbered Emmanuel Hartnett as well. And this could take Trent Dunham out of the race. The good news for him is Anthony McCrury is struggling, Ashland Boyd is struggling, Kyle Thomas now has an issue. So Trent might still be in the playoffs, but boy, this is, I don't know. At the way it's looking right now, I can't even determine who's going to be in, who's going to be out. I think Boyd is out. I think McCrury is out. But now with what just happened, do they have a lifeline here in the final few laps? We're going to have to wait and see. Let's go and find out how many laps are going to have left as more drivers continue to make that long and dreaded journey into the garage area. And some of them, for this one, were playoff contenders. Well, if the lights go out this time, we'll have a green-white checkered. If they do not go out, we'll be looking at a one-lap shootout. Let's try and set the table for you playoff-wise here. Trent Dunham's out. He'll finish 29th. But he's only 2 positions behind Anthony McCrury. He's only 3 positions behind Ashland Boyd. He's only 5 positions behind Ryan Madden. So he's ahead of a number of drivers right now. Even with the DNF, he's going to suffer. Kyle Keith's out of the race as well. Kyle Thomas, Emmanuel Hartnett, Justin Dearborn, and Dylan Poteet all out due to what we just saw. Looks like we're setting up for a green-white checkered. Kyle Thomas came into this one 11 points ahead of the cut line. I don't know where this is going to situate him. Is our only 2-time winner on the season out of the playoffs in the first round. I think Boyd and McCrury, they're both in very treacherous areas. Sky Commons, I think, is also in a little bit of a situation, although he's in 19th. I think Jonathan Zoerlein, who right now is in 17th, I think he might be able to move into the top 7. Should also remember, too, J Figadarello's down there in 39, so he may have fallen out as well, so that could be a lifeline for Kyle Thomas. So it might be Figadarello, McCrury, and Boyd who might be in the elimination spots. It's going to be Patrick Zych, Eli Bright, Joshua Ciculli, the top three. They're going to be the ones to settle this out, because Charles Jackson's trapped behind 3 lap machines. I don't think he'll be able to get around them. So it's the 48, the 88, and the 62. 2 of those 3 have not won yet this season. Ciculli's going for back-to-back wins. They've just got to make it back to the white flag, and we will race to the checkers no matter what. Whether the yellow flag comes out or not, we will race back to the checkered flag. Here we go. Green flag in the air. Eli Bright was ready. He tries to get to the outside of Patrick Zych going into turn 1. Can't do it. Ciculli's to his inside. Battle is on for second, going into turns 1 and 2. Patrick Zych comes into this race, currently 34th in the standings, trying to get his first win on the season. Hoping to see the white flag. We're still green at this point. Ciculli trying to clear for second, but now he's got the lap car of Corey Williams to his inside. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go here at Chicagoland. Patrick Zych's got about 2, 3, now 4 car lengths in hand going into turn 1. Ciculli looks like he's going to have to deal with Corey Williams. Williams trying to clear him. That's going to give the win easily over to the DC Solar number 48 Chevrolet Camaro of Patrick Zych. Out of turn 4 for the final time. Career win number 1 in the Pedrigree Xfinity Series. Patrick Zych wins at Chicagoland. And go back to the pass he made coming to the last caution by a splitter, unofficially 1/100th. He beat Eli Bright to the line, and that was the difference maker. He then controlled this restart, held them all in his rearview mirror, got a little bit of help from the lap machine of Corey Williams, and Patrick Zych is another first-time winner in the Pedrigree Xfinity Series. But now the big question, as he goes to victory lane, who's moving on to the round of 7, as we've got some cars wrecking on the front straightaway? That was interesting. James Shelly, Andrew Miller, Jimmy Dawson, and some others all were wrecking with each other, as they're still wrecking on pit road. Anthony McCurry and James Shelly getting into it. Now, if my assumption is correct, if McCrury did not manage and Ashland Boyd did not manage to improve their finishing positions, I think it's going to be Boyd, McCrury, and Figadarello who are going to be out of the playoffs. But we'll wait and see here. See, Trent had a good buffer between himself and 7th in points. So I think that even with his DNF in 29th, you see, he finished not too far behind Boyd and McCrury, and he finished ahead of Figadarello. So I think he is still into the next round, despite the DNF. I think Kyle Thomas can say the same. He finishes ahead of Figadarello, and he finished only, 4 spots behind McCrury and 5 spots behind Boyd. He came into this one with an 11-point buffer between himself and 7th in the points. So I think that Trent and Kyle are both going to move on to the next round. Sean Gallighan, he was 2nd in points coming into this one. He finished a lap down, but in 12th, so he's into the next round. Kyle Langeland was 4th, and he finished 14th, so I think he's into the next round. Sky Commons, he finishes 18th. He was 6th in points, but he finishes ahead of J Figadarello. He also finishes ahead of Ryan Madden, so I think he is going to get into the next round. And Ryan Madden came in that critical 7th position in the standings. He finished in 25th, but he was ahead of Boyd, he was ahead of McCrury, and he finished ahead of Figadarello. The difference between those two was 4 points, so I think that Ryan Madden is in as well. The question is Figadarello out and Jonathan Zoerlein in? The two of them, I think, are going to be the deciders of who's in, who's out. The two of them were separated by 14 points coming into this one. Zoerlein finished in 19th, which means that Figadarello had to finish this race in 35th or worse to be knocked out, and he finished in 39th. So I believe, if my calculations are correct, the 3 drivers that are getting eliminated here tonight at Chicagoland are going to be Ashland Boyd, our Road America winner, Anthony McCrury, our winner from Rio, and J Figadarello, our winner from Bristol Dirt. I believe those are the 3 that will not move on to the next round. Dunham, Gallighan, Thomas, Langeland, Commons, Madden, and Zoerlein, if my calculations in my head are correct, I believe are the 7 that will be moving on to the second round of the playoffs. But what a crazy, crazy race. I was hoping this wouldn't be a wreck fest. Obviously it was. But the timing of that one yellow flag was really, really strange. Left us with 13 cars on the lead lap. In the end, only 10 cars finished this race on the lead lap. And Skylar Perry, who got involved, if I remember correctly, in the first yellow, was the last of those cars to finish on the lead lap. It was Patrick Zych, Joshua Ciculli, Eli Bright, Charles Jackson, Jacob Thibodeaux, Anthony Lopez, J McCloud, K Shearer, Diego Yepes, and Skylar Perry, who all managed to finish on the lead lap. Everybody else was either 1 lap down, 2 laps down, 3 laps down, or out of the race. And a lot of that was due to the timing of that, I think it was our 4th caution of the evening. But again, Patrick Zych, that finish between himself and Eli Bright coming to the final yellow flag was really what sealed the deal of who was going to win this race, and Patrick Zych picking up the victory here tonight at Chicagoland. So, 10 entered, only 7 move on. Pretty certain we have established who those 7 are, but we'll find out in just a moment. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's race here from Chicagoland. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We have shown you full finisher results. These are what your point standings look like, as well as your updated playoff points heading into next week's round of 7. We will see you guys next week, as I'm not certain where the venue is going to be. I'm not really sure where the 2 races are going to be for the round of 7. We know that the season finale is going to be at Homestead, Miami, but we'll find out what 2 races are going to play host to the round of 7 to determine our final 4 for the championship weekend at Homestead, Miami. Until then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching Production NCRA, all flying racing at its best. We'll see you guys next week.